Robbie, did you make me a co-host? I don't
Y-
have a record button. Oh,
Yes, I made you a
okay.
co-host.
I am consenting. I'm good.
All right. Well, good morning and welcome to the Verse Virtual June reading. It's hard to believe June is almost over, actually. It's Juneteenth. So everybody celebrate the new holiday that should have been a holiday a long time ago. Um, Today we're doing something a little bit different. We have a tag team of wonderful poets, Tresha Haefner and Kelly Grace Boljani, and they are going to toss poems back and forth for about a half an hour, and then they will throw out a prompt to everyone present, and we can all write. And if we have only this number of people, we'll probably all be able to share in the time that we have. I've allotted us 2 hours, which we probably won't take completely up. So I think we're doing fine. Jim, it sounds like somebody is on Facebook. Could you check that out?
On Facebook, in what sense?
Wait a minute. I guess you won't be able to. Um, Someone is trying to get in.
I am not seeing the pop-up for people coming in.
No, there isn't anyone coming in. It's someone who sent me a message about the workshop.
Oh,
And I just quickly sent her a message back. But
gotcha.
So, okay. Without further ado, oh, no, not again. Someone has, I'm not going to be able to deal with the messages right now. So let me just introduce our first reader, and I'll actually introduce both of them since they're going to be tossing the poems back and forth. Kelly Grace Thomas is an ocean-obsessed Aries from Jersey. I assume that's New Jersey rather than Jersey in England. She is a self-taught poet, editor, educator, and author. Kelly is the winner of the 2020 Jane Underwood Poetry Prize and the 2017 Neil Postman Award for Metaphor from Rattle, 2018 finalist for the Rita Duck Poetry Award, and multiple Pushcart Prize nominee. Her first full-length collection, Boat Burned, released with Yes Yes Books in January 20th. Kelly's poems have appeared or are forthcoming in Best New Poets 2019, Los Angeles Review, Red Divider, Muzzle, Sixth Finch, and more. Kelly is the Director of Education for Get Lit and co-author of Words Ignite. She lives in the Bay Area with her husband, Omi. Tresha Faye Haefner is a writer, editor, and founder of the Poetry Salon, where she teaches online classes to guide other writers into accessing their authentic, creative voice. Tresha spent 10 years teaching in private schools before earning an MA degree in humanistic psychology, creativity studies from Saybrook University. Tresha's work has been published in journals including Blood Lotus, the Cincinnati Review, Fourth River, Hunger Mountain, Pyrene's Fountain, Poet Lore, Prairie Schooner, and Rattle. She received the 2011 Robert and Adele Schiff Poetry Prize and the 2011 Alien Sloth Sex Award. That's intriguing. And a 2015 and 2020 Pushcart Award. Go ahead.
I guess I'll jump in, and I want to also just say I am an ocean-obsessed Pisces, which means I am a fish, and my good buddy here is a fire. And gosh, I don't know if this sounds appropriate, but together, the water and the fire, we're going to get real steamy here, aren't we, Kelly? And I just want to say, I just want to say thank you very much, Robbie, for inviting us to read. Kelly and I have been writing, kind of colleagues back and forth for probably, I think, almost 10 years now, if not longer. And we trade poems and we've done workshops together and we co-host the Poetry Salon cast. And I think this is the first time we've been invited to do a reading together. So this is really appropriate, really exciting. And we talked about what we wanted to do. And, there are so many ways, Kelly, that I love working with you because in some ways we have some things in common, and in other ways we're very different in terms of the style of our writing. So I feel like whenever I write with you or I take a workshop with you, I always learn something new and different. And yet there are certain things that we definitely do have in common, like we both love the ocean and we both write quite a bit about it. So we're going to start us off, I think, by reading some ocean poems. And Kelly, it just occurred to me, I cleared off my desktop so I wouldn't have any distractions, and I cleared off the poems that I had planned to read. So would you mind starting us off while I find what I put away?
Absolutely. I am so happy to do that. Yeah, I think that, hi, Linda. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Robbie, thank you for hosting and for having this really great idea. I'm so interested to kind of like play off of one another's energy and themes. And Tresha and I definitely speak of the ocean. We also speak a lot of our mothers, as well as animals. So we're just you're gonna get a little like sprinkling of it all. Most of the poems that I'm reading are from Boat Burned, which is my book from Yes Yes Books. It came out in 2020. And I'm gonna kick us off with one of the opening poems, and it's called Mal de Debarquement, which is the word that the French have for after you've been on a boat and you get off that boat, you still feel like you're rocking. Diagnosis, land sick. Experience stutters in the pores, thirsts for boat, muscles moan, ocean. The body's small stories bow to another gravity. Salt fiend, you mourn for your mother, the movement of her earth, rise and fall, the rock she swelled you to sleep, sung a sea inside these bones, symptoms. Balance fools across generations, convinces the body it is owned enough to get a name, the dirt sways, skyscrapers, scrapers bob like seagulls, nothing solid holds. You rock, chartless with nowhere small stars, small relief in anything man-made, cars, trains. But when you still, the memory muddies, seasick with the ways you were taught to woman, to alter absent men you break over and over like waves, causes. You once told your mother you could be anything. Yes, she said, even a wife. Let him confuse you for freedom, confuse body for boat. You rise and fall the rhythm of what you've been taught. Cells hoard 3/4 of her. Hunger blankets this earth. Once a mother gives birth, she never stops speaking. Treatment, almost all cases female, no tie between the length of the trip, how bad the symptoms or how long they will last. The body sways, trying to outrock a bigger body. Name its own ground. Cure, there is none. You can go back, give in, return to boat, or keep on unsteady. Never trust what promises to keep, to stay. But if the symptoms do not remit, depart on their own terms, the disorder remains incurable, permanent. Thank you so much. On the theme of oceans and motherhood and the ocean being the original mother, I thought that it had a way to kick it off all, and I'm going to pass it over to Tresha.
Yay, thank you so much. So yeah, there's a number of poems that I've written about the ocean. And you know, Robbie, you mentioned that years ago I won the Alien Sloth Sex Award. And at the time that I submitted to that contest, I actually didn't realize that alien sloth sex spells ass. And I was really happy to win. This was the first poetry award I ever won, and so I am very grateful to them. And this is the poem that they took. It was originally published under a different title. I think it was originally published under the title Summer Song, but I changed it to Sea Shanty. Kiss me with your mouth full of shark's teeth and bait, in your scuba gear and dark fedora. This summer, we watch economies crumble into the sea. At the movies, we hold each other. In museums, gaze at Venus rising as if the heat from her body could dry the cherry coke from our lips. Nail polish on the fingernails. In the windows, flocks of birds fly by, schools of fish in the air. But we know the truth. The ocean is in distress, prepares to attack. Like a magician, she's tired of pulling the moon from her hat. This mother has lost too many sons, too many fish ridden with mercury. One night she will take us. As we stand outside the gas station smoking, she'll roll our heads till they thump, thump, thump across the acres of green glass bottle bottoms, rotting tires and soda cans. Once more, she'll hide us in the cat mouth of her caves, the eel skin purse of her body, rub our faces with sand and salt until she smooths our cold fire reflections, caught in the eye of her storm. So yeah, another poem with the ocean as mother, mother who's in a bit of distress, mother who's a bit dangerous, obviously. And that I think is going to be the theme of today's reading. And I've even put up my ocean images. I don't know if you can tell, but these are paintings I've done with shells, shells glued to canvas in the shape of a mermaid's tail and a seahorse. So we're on the ocean theme here with us. And Kelly, I'm just going to volley the volleyball back to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're on the ocean theme, so let's keep rolling. This next poem is a sestina. So my relationship to the ocean is I grew up sailing a lot on the ocean, and I grew up on an island where it's only a mile wide and the bay is on one side and the ocean is on another. And when I was 10, my dad was relocating after a bankruptcy and an eviction. And we spent a month sailing from New Jersey to Florida to kind of say goodbye, to drop him off. He'd stay in Florida with the boat. My mom, sister, and I came back to New Jersey. So this poem is about that process. And if you're not familiar with a sestina, it repeats the same 6 words over and over again. And we're gonna talk about it a little bit later for the prompt, but I thought I would read it now. That way it's already read for the reading. And this is called Replay. And my daughter Nova's here. She'll just be commenting and snapping and yeah, exactly. Doing all sorts of cute baby things in the background. So yeah, she's happy to be here listening to poems this morning. Replay. It started with silence. A coastline ate through me, salt or song spilled into the sail. I try to write an honest goodbye. Stanzas splintered like ore or father. For 30 days we sailed together, apart, shoved inside, I swallowed storm. A part of me that never knew water, just a body. Silence craves any word for God besides Father. The deeper I drink, the heavier the song. Now the ocean only means goodbye, a patchwork of stanzas and troubled sails. I warn myself, don't write about family. I whisper, sail away, let childhood drift apart, but a sailboat is the slowest goodbye. A leaked, lonely, the four of us in our cities of silence. I scribbled small mutinies, my words, wait, water, bloated a song. I released the anchor lines of mother, daughter, sister, father. The ocean must miss someone too. Father, did you know the sailboat would turn throat? A rusted, ruddy song. These dirges I can still smell in the dark, a part of home that won't stop sinking. And this silence, how many times will I frame this goodbye? Please believe me, I only wanted to be good. By now, I have sacrificed the many names for father or family. I've gulped these ships of silence. I was raised like a sail, pulled like a sheet, fraying apart our history, reeking with song. Mother swears this is not a sad song. These things happen. My pages or years too long, a goodbye. My hands are itchy too. Ache, a part of every landscape I pen, lonely, the only wound I can father. Every line I write luffs like a sail. They ask what happened. I sink with silence. I song the sometimes. Every time a man walks out, I call him father. Goodbye, a hungry seagull that won't stop cawing my name. The sail, like the story, is filthy with holes. Silence, another kind of wind. Thanks so much. Passing it back to Tresha for more ocean salt mother vibes.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's just so beautiful, Kelly. You know, I love forms. I love writing in forms, but I don't think I've ever felt like I liked a poem that I wrote in a form. Usually I'll get one or two lines and then I write it in free verse. So I'm just so enamored of, impressed by, curious about how anyone writes a sestina that works.
The only one I've ever written, Tresha, so please don't be too hard on yourself. I wrote one and I was like, all right, I did that. It's done.
Right, exactly. Yeah, sestinas definitely of all the challenging poems, probably like one of the most challenging, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the other ocean poems I really wanted to read, and still on the theme of ocean and mother, I honestly cannot remember where this poem came from, but I have a feeling it was in one of Kelly's workshops. I have a memory of at least bringing it in and sharing it there. But, you know, I tend to be very obsessive in my writing. And, you know, there's a period in my life where every poem just ended with the word stars or the moon. And I can kind of, you know, massage something I love for a while, and then I start getting a little self-conscious about it and going, oh God, stop it, just stop it. All the stars must go away. All the moons must fall into the ocean because I'm sick of these metaphors. So I think I'd gotten to that point with the ocean. So do what I do with everything that's bothering me. I wrote a poem about it. So this poem is called "The Ocean is Tired of My Metaphors." And it first appeared in Gyroscope Review. So this is "The Ocean is tired of my metaphors. The ocean is a drunk mother sobering up. Her long sob against land, a broken lullaby, tangled seaweed, walk on the shore of my mortality. Ambition broken into shells. She keeps reaching for my ankles. That sloppy slapping of her hands reminds me I'm tired of being, chasing blues, fishing for commandments. Like any creature, she grinds herself to grit. Bones of dolphins, black knuckle of crab. When the ocean sings, it is a dirge, smoky, haunting as silk. She cracks the carapace of vessels, licks their bones, embarrassed by all the salt she has swallowed. I hold my hand up to block the glint of sun flaring over her face. Now she slides her arms up the breast of apology. Now she withdraws more of my mind back into the cravings of the sea.
Gorgeous. God, I love that. A mother sobering up. She reaches the ankles, the bones of dolphins. Yeah, I saw that Robbie put something in the chat, and I think that I'll speak a little bit to Tresha and mine's history. So Tresha, we met through, I don't know, a mutual reading. And I remember just seemed so cool and was like this amazing poet. And I'm like, oh, you write poetry. This was before I even knew anything about poetry. And I was like, oh, I want to learn more about that. And she was like, come take my classes. And I took one poetry class in college. And like, so much of what I know about poems, the foundation of editing and revising and retiring the things that you are overwriting. I learned from Tresha. It just so changed my world, my craft, the way I looked at art. She's just such an inspiration, and I'm really, really grateful. So then we taught together for a long time and still do every now and then. Back when I lived in LA, I live in the Bay now. But yeah, it's just, the Poetry Salon is amazing. We both teach workshops, and I'm sure we'll tell you more about that at the end. I think that I'll kind of like, I think I'll read another ocean poem before kicking it over to mothers and animals. I want to be mindful of the time, and mindful of the many complex and beautiful things we have to talk about today. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening. This is Lifeboat, and it has an epigraph. It is the epigraph comes from Ocean Vuong, and it says, "Here's today, jump. I promise it's not a lifeboat." Lifeboat. Don't worry. Your mother will always live inside the house you built for her. A sailboat can only wait so long for wind. When you run aground, the buoys nod a quiet, I know. Omid loves you. Anchor the children close at sunrise. You write about the morning after your sister almost died. Then your mother. The many ways the sea tries to take, they say, tell me a story. And you never know the right way to spill. This is the one where you and your father tied yourselves to dark, sailed all night to make it to Florida, holding only a memory of sleep. This was your biggest goodbye. Your legs still rock. Now, in the morning, you look at clouds you've named together, how each of you chose your shape. Passing it over to Tresha.
All right. Yeah, I just love that poem. I love all of Boat Burned, in fact, and in our
Thank you.
I do teach a workshop right now called Build the Backbone of Your Book, and we've got recommended reading. So there's books that I'm always referencing. Kelly's Boat Burned is one of them. And yeah, it's been a book that we enjoy reading for its own sake, but also for the sake of understanding style better and how to compile a book. On the topic of mothers and family, the last poem I read is "The Ocean is Tired of My Metaphors," and it starts with, you know, the ocean is a drunk mother sobering up. And the thing is that, you know, I haven't actually written a whole lot about my family. I think a lot of poets start out and they're, you know, their first book might be a lot about their family. For me, I always kind of felt like I was so busy when I came out of college, kind of making myself as a person, figuring out what my life was going to be independent of my family, that I didn't want to write about them. I just wasn't interested in writing about them because I was interested in me and how my life was going to be so cool. And then after I got married, decided I wanted to be a poet, started teaching some workshops and kind of got my life together. I think I felt kind of safe and distant enough from my family that I started turning towards them and thinking, who are these people who raised me? And what effect did they have on me? And what can I have to say about them? Every other writer writes about their family, so maybe I should too. So I wrote that poem. Sorry, this is a very long introduction because I'm trying to find the poem I want to read next. So I wrote that poem about my mom. Well, the poem that the ocean is a drunk mother sobering up. And the thing is, my parents don't drink at all. My mom is the only person I know who drinks non-alcoholic beer. And and I thought to myself, oh my God, what is she going to think of this poem? She's going to go, Tresha, why are you writing about me? It's like, what is this poem about me? And so I thought, you know, I really need to write a poem kind of explaining when I say mother, what is it that I mean? And I had this poem all ready to read, and then it seemed to have completely lost it. It seems to have disappeared entirely from my files. So give me just 1 second here. Because it is here, I swear. Oh, okay, great, there it is. Okay, so this is called When I Say Mother. When I say mother, it could mean you, but it probably means something else. The ocean, a boat that took me over the water, the beginning of a concept of God. Last night there was a horse in the darkness I couldn't see, just heard it whinny, warm. That could mean mother, or night in general, or dawn. When I say mother is a drunk ocean, or the ocean is a drunk mother, I don't mean you in specific, but all mothers. My best friend's mother, a storm clouding through the doorway, treading the French curtains, or the way a volcano smolders, a type of mother. All of Paris, all of Rome, maybe an entire continent, a country, a song. When I say mother, I mean the oak tree I swung on as a toddler. I mean the starfruit tree I'm still trying to climb. I mean something starless and unknowable. When I say mother hurts me, I mean the earth is full of sadness. It's inevitable. Sorrow, a type of mother, someone who gives birth to you, and sometimes I mean you, like a boat. My first taste of something small that could carry something smaller over the water. A memory you cross, a way of leaving the grief in the salt pleasure of the sea.
Beautiful. I love that. And I love all the different interpretations of mother. It looks like we have about like 6 more minutes left for reading. So I'm gonna shift over to animals. So I am currently working on a book that was titled Sad Animal. Who knows what it'll be when it gets to the world. I don't know. I feel like it's like blood. It's blue, and when it turns red, when it goes out of the body, I don't know what the title will be. But it's called Sad Animal at the moment, and it's all based on animal facts and exploring those animal facts. So I'm gonna switch to you know what I always do in these readings is I usually give everyone a choice. So tell me if you would like to hear about orangutans, koalas, or wolves. I'll just look in the chat to see whatever I see first. Okay, I see orangutans. Uh-oh, I saw orangutans first. Sorry about that. I'm sure we'll see each other at a different time. So here is the orangutan poem. Okay. Title: Around 50% of orangutans have fractured bones due to falling out of trees on a regular basis. And sometimes you just gotta leap. Limbs heavy with luxury, the reward of flight ka-chings, each new grip dares the bones still left whole, functional. All maybe an orange biceps, orang-hutan, human of the forest. 97% ancestor, just look at their hands, aped by greed. Reaching for whatever is greener like it's theirs, and who wouldn't expect a fall? The buckling of a branch just trying to be born, a tree rooted too close to chance, the body bets it all. In the end, gravity always wins. I can't help but wonder what would flight me. See myself float through the air, loose as an orange sundress. Why have I gotten so used to this ground? My stupid feet, small steps of caution. Like I wouldn't fracture it all to tender once again, wouldn't gamble my bones for a handful of sky. Show me anyone among us still in one piece. Those are a preview of the animals. I just want to do like a time check. Robbie, is it cool to pass to Tresha? Where are we at?
No, I think the reading part is finished. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I'm sorry. I've been sending you frantic messages, Trisha,
Yeah.
on chat.
Okay, that's fine. That's totally cool. So we have a prompt, and I would love for us to be able to share that. I have it, and let me just give it here. Now I have too many documents open. There we go. There it is. So Robbie knows this quite well. A number of you who are on this Zoom meeting know this quite well, but when we give prompts, we do a little pre-writing to sort of put water in the well. We prime the pump. So nobody worry that you're writing a poem right now. I just want to invite everyone to get out your writing devices, pen, paper, pull up a Word document if you're writing on the computer. And I want to invite you to pick something that is written about too often, maybe something you see too often in poetry. Maybe it's something that just you write about too often, something you're obsessed with. And make a short list of those things. You might think about animals you write about too much, landforms, a person. Kelly and I have followed our obsessions of writing about mothers and oceans and all kinds of animals now. So just a quick little list of things that you write about too often or you see too often in poetry. And next, I want to invite you to pick one of those items and then think about some typical ways you would describe that item. Just get those out of your head. In fact, you can even skip that part. You already know the typical ways you describe an item like that. And think about what are some of the unusual things you would say to describe this. Unusual or little known, or maybe even things about them you don't want to look at or admit to. So everyone writes about their mother. A lot of people will kind of focus on some positive things. I mean, not us, the real poets, we get honest, but you know, the Hallmark cards full of things like you were always there for me, made great soup. But I want to invite you to go into the specific details, maybe quirky, maybe unpleasant. Just the things that don't get talked about or thought about too often. And does anyone want to put something in the chat, like maybe just a little line, you know, the ocean sounds like a dirge. I love Ada Lamone's book. She describes carrots as bright, dead things, pulls them out of the ground and they're bright, dead things. That's just one great line as an example. Yeah, ocean full of rose petals and ashes. Simmering regret in memory's water until it reduces to caramels. Oh, that's so cool. Her dark, voluptuous hair captivates my eyes. Nice. Voluptuous hair. Yeah, that's an unusual way to describe hair, but I can totally see it. The smell of the elementary school, oilcloth and paste. Yeah, getting down at those really, really specific details. So the poems that I chose as samples for this exercise are actually poems Kelly and I have already read. So I don't think we need to read them again, but I was looking at the poem, The Ocean is Tired of My Metaphors, and the ocean is a drunk mother sobering up, would be one example of a line that got me started with that poem. And Kelly, do you want to read the prompt? I sent it to you in
Sure. I don't.
direct message.
Oh, you sent it to me on direct message? Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't have the okay, so the prompt. What we want to think about is name another thing you are obsessed with. Make one thing a metaphor for the other, focus on the unusual things. And I know that Tresha and I talked a little bit about kind of first choice, worst choice, which is one of my mantras. Thinking about what is the expected thing and how can you kind of go 3 iterations from that to really think about a way to write about it that's new and surprising. I was in a workshop last week with Kim Adanizio, and she's like, you know, really nothing is boring as long as you write about it in an interesting way. I mean, think about like the Russian novelists who like talk about drinking a glass of water for 5 pages, but the language is so beautiful, right? So really thinking about one, how can you make the language new around this thing? How can you say what has not been said yet? And I think, Robbie, how long do we usually, can we just give like 10 minutes? Does that feel good?
For this part of it, yeah, that's fine.
I'm just wondering if you have a hard out time, because I think that we agreed on, we said that we were going to do 75 minutes, and I just want to make sure that that's still good.
Yeah, that's still good. I just wanted to make sure we had enough time to write.
Sure.
And that's why I tried to keep the reading down to a manageable level. And
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, so we'll take 10 to 12 minutes, depending on the energy vibe, to see what you can come up with. Lean into the fun, the unexpected. Like Tresha says, not even a poem, not even a rough draft, just a beginning. And a beginning has so much potential, so please don't shut it down. All right, happy poeming. We'll see you in 10 minutes.
Robbie, do you want to pause this? Or are we going to be talking during? You're muted.
Okay, I'll pause it. Thank you.
Sure.
Just a minute.
Robbie, I think you should start over since we hadn't restarted the recording.
Okay. Well, all right. What I never said about Philadelphia. Whenever I used to think about my childhood in Philadelphia, it was the trauma I'd flash back to first. The cruel teachers my father spoke. But I can't deny that there was beauty in there too. New fallen snow, red maple leaves, Mr. Ward, the principal of my elementary school, kind, the tallest person I've ever known. The smell of thunderstorms about to break the heat. Even my parents, who worshiped at the temple of the discount outlet, traveling to far off towns to visit a new mall. Those car trips to Atlantic City, where I'd strip out of my sandy swimsuit under a towel. Who cares about being car sick in the poison ivy at the shoulder of the road? The proximity of trees was quite enough. That's all I have.
Yeah, I don't know that you need anything more after that. I love so many of the lines. The teacher and then the principal who's kind and also the tallest man you've ever known, the smell of thunderstorms, the proximity of trees, as if that isn't something extraordinary on its own. So that's really beautiful, beautiful writing, Robbie. Thank you.
Yeah, what a cool ending. I just love it. Love it. Love it. Who else would like to share? All right. Can you just tell me your name so I pronounce it correctly? Sami?
Me,
Yeah.
Sadma Rosnick. I figured I'll
Sadma.
share it over with because, as usual, I took this in a seemed like unconventional direction than everybody else, but that seems to be how I work.
All
Anyway,
perfect.
anyway, you were talking about things we see too much in poetry, and I wrote down people write too much because anything, no matter how important, becomes cliche if you hear it too often. And so I wrote down political issues, love, family relationships, trauma, and then being from Appalachia, what we read a lot about in Appalachian poetry that has been something for me that I've tried my best to get away from all along is nature and pastoralism, and God comes up a lot in Appalachian poetry. And then I wrote down people air their grievances too much or go to the other extreme and write pure nostalgia, rarely hitting the truth in between. And then I sort of drew my self-portrait, which is a screaming face. I'm not going to self-analyze that. And then I went sort of on a riff on the past for my poem part. I went on a riff on the pastoralisms in nature and wrote what I call an impressionist poem, which is to just write whatever comes to your head without analyzing it, like the images and words, and not even worry about whether it makes a sentence, and just write it down. And so this is what I come up with, an impressionist poem. I like to lose myself in textures and colors, lines, bumps and swirls like emotions and earth and turntables and deliverance. A journey, not a straight line, not with a map, not even with a labyrinth guideposts. I'll call smoothness and sharpness, double-tongued, clickbait like a promise twisted on taste buds and glittered under touch. It was meant to be rough. That was the delight. Let the dirt sneak through our fingers like a secret and remember its damp, fresh smell of presence and life. Life and death, it is unassuming, but more bold than red and yellow on a wall background behind the speaker. Turn the speaker off. Remember who you are. Remember, just remember, like watching a film on replay over and over, and you can't read mom writing, hang on. And the black earth settles in as the sky cracks open and lets water onto it. Washed clean, washed, forgotten, turned, analyzed, and put in the drawer. This is nonsense, she said, sticking the spade in sopping ground, and it gave, with only a slight squelching groan, and a human groan, a textured groan. I am earthened and wet. So that's what I got.
Oh, wow. That is so lovely. And yeah, thank you so much for writing that. That's such wonderful personification at the end. The earth gave a groan, a textured groan, a human groan, and came back wet. I love that. What a great way to end the poem. Thank you so much for sharing. And just for time's sake, you know, I love knowing how everyone came up with their poems and how the exercise affected them. But just to make sure that we can get everyone in who wants to share, please just read the poem itself. But you can always come to the Poetry Salon classes and workshops where we do quite a fair amount of chitting and chatting and talking as well. Who would like to go next? Don't all raise your hands
Linda?
at once.
Linda, take us away.
The ocean is a gray house where birds and fish die. Their bones float with too many rose petals and ashes. I could fertilize Eden with what loses its color to the bottom of the sea, where the greedy robber swallows memory, time, and all the broken logs of marriages gone awry. The ocean sifts your memory of it through the screed of emptied shells and broken fins. Pelicans with sawed-off bills and fractured wings disappear in your maw. The guilty fishermen rise up on the tables of white foam.
Wow, I love that idea of kind of like the severed natural world, and especially the guilty fisherman. Beautiful, Linda. Always love your work.
Thanks.
Nice. We have about 7 minutes left. Who else would like to share?
I'll jump in if it's
All right,
rough anyway.
So I'm just gonna write in the chat the order. So I saw
Okay.
I saw
Yeah.
Mary, Damon,
Okay.
Altier. Then I saw Joanne. Then I saw Mary Rose Smith. And am I missing anyone?
Okay, well, mine's short. It's full moon. Fat baby face in the sky, rocking side to side, humming cartoon songs. That's it.
Lovely, Mary. That's so beautiful. I mean, you can do quite a bit with just a short poem and that short personification. Lovely. Next is Joanne.
Hi. I know we're not supposed to editorialize, but I just have to say I doesn't all come out like a poem when I do this first kind of draft stuff. So here we go. Your smile is a wave, rolls right up to touch my timid toes and slides away again. High tide and low. You can watch the tables, but some days low tide splashes over the rocks as though it were high. Others you could walk all the way to the lighthouse when it's written right there that it's low. A visitor asked me where the Cochina rocks were. She knew she was in the right place. I broke the news that they were long underwater. Come back in 4, 5, 6 hours to catch them. If I wait, that smile will reappear. Lips of foam, laughter loosing sharks or dolphins, dimples like riptides, taking me suddenly out to sea in a sudden burst of turbulence. If I swim along its crest, eventually I'll find my way back.
Gorgeous. Wow, dimples like riptides. I love that. You're speaking our love language, Joanne.
You can see from my background, I am at the ocean. So,
Yay, that's amazing. Amazing. What ocean is it?
the Atlantic to North Carolina, Curie Beach.
I grew up going to Hatteras. That's wonderful. Beautiful, beautiful. Awesome. Thank you, Mary Rose.
I thought that was wallpaper behind it. That's a real ocean.
So it's a picture from my deck. It's a picture, but it's really there.
Gotcha. Okay. He's looking for the place where nothingness holds dominion over me and my computer, to print out a new mask for his dressing up passion, searching the madness of the internet to click on something. It comes fully formed, plattered before me. This is also God's shy side, his shadow side, the side he shows only to me. He wants the controls. He wants the pictures. He wants to name the animals, color in the sky. He wants my time, all of it, to leave this backyard canyon, to claim the bigger out there, the world of skies and oceans, to show them off and pimp the world, to sell it every day, Easter bunny rabbits to his constituents, calendar-free Christmases, blow-up decor and swimming pools, Grinch costumes, mac and cheese, McDonald's, candy for breakfast. The shadow side of God is more expansive, where anything can happen, where there are no guardrails, no insurance required, That depends on the remote huddled prayerful praying in hospital corridors, on mountaintops. So many angels chanting from the dashboards of cars, from scapulas hanging from the wretched and fine neck, the necks of the wretched and fine, let's see, tattooed on soldiers and seekers, another name for God who's transitioning. It's almost there. Transitioning from the tyranny of being trinary back to being all for one. Okay, well, we'll work on that. Thank you all.
Oh, Mary Rose, I love the series of metaphors in there. And of course, that's so perfect. You know, trying to describe God, it's that's the poet's burden, isn't it? So you can only do it in metaphor. So that's pretty on point topic to
Thank
try to
you.
grasp with metaphor. Yeah. I'm sorry, I've lost the roster, the list of poets. Is that it? Are we closing out?
That was who wanted to volunteer, but Robbie said that we can go a little longer if needed. I just want to make sure that we throw it out. Anyone, no pressure if you don't want to read. Some days
So,
we're not on it.
Jim wants to read his poem into the recording. So after everybody has gotten a chance, then he will do that again if no one minds.
Sure.
So there are a few people who haven't said anything, haven't read their poems. If you would like to, please do.
If you don't, that's okay too. We'll give you like 10 seconds of awkward silence and then we can move on to Jim.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Jim. You have to unmute though.
Like that. Okay. Regret is on the dessert menu. The descriptions are always hyped. We know that nothing tastes like heaven or hell or sex on the beach. And who's ever done that anyway? But someone got paid to write this, so you know you want it bad. Choose your dessert carefully. You'll have to live with your choices. Sweet regret, simmered for decades in memory's water until every hint of sorrow is reduced to caramels and cream. You will forget you ever wanted things to have been different. Regret flambé, served as cold as revenge, surrounded by a moat of bitter kirsch, ready to burn when you are. Regret serpentine, your fondest memories of pain, coiled around a mound of recollections, beautifully smooth with a deadly bite. Supreme regret, all your heaviest secrets, baked, broiled, or sautéed, smothered with the distilled pain you have carefully set aside, waiting for this moment to swallow.
Oh, thank you so much. I could have let you read longer. I just thought there were more people here that were going to read. So sorry for that, but thanks so much for a wonderful workshop and reading. And it's delightful to have people who haven't visited Verse Virtual Readings before. Please do join us on Facebook and send your poems to the journal. Read the journal online, Verse Virtual. Jim, could you put the link in for the folks who've never been here before in the chat? I think he's doing that now. But
And I'll also say, Robbie, if those of you who want to write with us some more and have time to editorialize and complain about how hard writing is or tell us the story of your writing, we host poetry writing workshops pretty much every day of the week now, which you know because you're there. And you can do that for $34 a month. So that's less than the cost of a gym membership. And I put the link to the Poetry Salon's online community on in the chat. And of course, you can also see Kelly's website in the chat as well. So I just want to draw everyone's attention there. I loved what you guys wrote. I would definitely love to hear more of it in the future.
This was great. I want to thank
Robbie.
Robbie for hosting it, and wonderful to hear and see both you, Tresha and Kelly. I didn't know you had a baby.
Yeah, she was born April 24th. So yeah, she's
Wonderful.
amazing, such a blessing. So
I just want to put her little toes in my mouth. She's just so scrumptious looking.
she is super